High in the rugged, snow-draped mountains, where the wind cut through every gap in the timbered cabins and the silence of the forests pressed down like a heavy blanket, a poor mountain man named Ethan lived a life defined by hardship. His world was a harsh one, marked by jagged peaks, frozen rivers, and the relentless struggle to survive. Every day was a battle against the elements, every meal hard-earned, every fire fought for. Yet despite the loneliness that gnawed at his bones, Ethan had built a life out of simple honesty and unshakable perseverance. His hands were calloused from chopping wood, hauling firewood through treacherous snow, and tending to the few animals he could care for. But even as he labored, a quiet emptiness lingered, a hollow space in his heart that no amount of work could fill. One morning, with frost still clinging to the pine needles and the first rays of sunlight cutting through the dense fog, Ethan spotted a small, hooded figure at the edge of a forest clearing. The figure stood motionless, shivering, her presence somehow both fragile and stubborn, as if she belonged neither to the mountains nor to the world beyond. Her cloak, heavy and ragged, was dusted with snow and flecked with the dirt of the journey she had clearly endured. Curiosity stirred in Ethan, but it was something deeper, an unexplainable pull, a sense that this encounter had meaning far beyond chance. He had heard the rumors in the nearby village. Travelers, sometimes desperate, sometimes unscrupulous, occasionally sold a companion for $1 or $2. But he had never thought such an offer could find him, standing in the snow, staring at a woman who seemed almost too delicate for this wild, unyielding landscape. Yet the vendor approached him that morning with a weary, opportunistic smile, offering the hooded woman for $1, saying she was quiet, obedient, and would not trouble anyone. Ethan's heart tightened as he looked at the hooded stranger. Something inside him whispered that she was different, that she carried a story of her own, one that could not be bought or sold in the marketplace. Against every instinct to turn away, he handed over the dollar. It was the smallest investment of his life, yet somehow, he felt it might change everything. From the moment she stepped into his cabin, silent and cautious, the air seemed to shift. The fire he had kindled that morning cast flickering shadows across the rough-hewn walls, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air, and for a fleeting moment, Ethan saw not a stranger but a presence that seemed to understand the weight he carried. She did not speak immediately. She only set her hooded cloak by the door and took the small corner he had prepared for her in the cabin. Ethan returned to his daily chores, stacking wood, preparing breakfast, and tending to the animals, all the while feeling her quiet observance as a kind of tether. That evening, the wind outside howled like a wounded creature, rattling the windowpanes and chilling the cabin to its core. The woman, finally, unhooded her face, revealing eyes that were clear, piercing, and yet gentle. When she spoke, her voice was a soft melody that seemed to wrap around Ethan's heart, thawing the years of isolation and hardship. She thanked him for taking her in, for offering warmth and shelter, and promised she would not be a burden. There was a quiet dignity in her words, a calm strength that drew Ethan in like the first rays of sun after a long, stormy night. In that instant, something inside him shifted. He realized that the loneliness he had carried for so long was not emptiness but a space waiting for something, or someone, worthy of filling it. Life in the mountains is never easy, and their days were marked by shared toil. Together, they chopped wood, repaired the cabin, and trudged through snow-laden trails to fetch water. Slowly, the woman, whose name was Clara, began to share fragments of her life, of distant valleys, cities bustling with people, and the experiences that had brought her to this forsaken place. In return, Ethan revealed the hidden wonders of his world, the secret trails where the sun pierced the canopy just right, the frozen streams that shimmered like glass in the morning, and the quiet corners of the mountains where one could feel the pulse of the earth itself. The more they shared, the more Ethan realized that her presence was not a burden but a gift, that her voice, her laughter, and her quiet insights were becoming the heartbeat of his own life. It was not an immediate love, nor was it without struggle. The cold was unforgiving, the work backbreaking, and moments of doubt crept in like shadows across the snow. Ethan wrestled with the fear that such happiness could not last, that something as fragile as love could be snatched away by the harsh reality surrounding them. Clara, too, carried scars, unseen and silent, that sometimes clouded her expressions and shadowed her words. Yet, with every challenge, with every shared struggle, the bond between them grew, forged in the crucible of survival and tempered by the quiet grace of companionship. One day, a storm swept across the mountains, the kind that turned familiar trails into mazes of white, the kind that tested endurance and courage. Ethan and Clara huddled in the cabin, listening to the wind tear through the trees, the snow lashing against the windows, their only warmth the fire and the closeness of their shared presence. It was in that night, as the storm raged on, that Ethan understood the depth of his feelings. He had thought survival was merely a matter of food, fire, and shelter. But Clara had taught him that survival was also about love, about connection, about finding a heart that could turn a lonely existence into a shared life worth fighting for. From that day forward, their lives changed not in grand gestures or dramatic events, but in the quiet moments of care and understanding. She learned to cook over the rough fire, to mend his clothes with patience, and to tend to the animals with a soft, guiding hand. Ethan learned to trust not only her but himself, to open his heart, to share his thoughts and dreams that had long been locked away. Together, they built more than a home. They built a sanctuary, a place where the bitter winds could howl outside, but inside, warmth, love, and resilience reigned. And then, one evening, as the sky was painted in hues of orange and violet, Clara spoke words that would forever be etched in Ethan's heart. She told him that she had never expected to find someone like him, someone whose life was humble yet profound, someone whose heart was open even in the harshest conditions. She thanked him for the dollar that had been meaningless in the world but had meant everything to her, for the kindness that had recognized her value when no one else had. Ethan, standing in the fading light, felt tears prick at his eyes, understanding that love was not a question of wealth or circumstance, but of presence, care, and the courage to see a human soul for what it truly was. This story, though set in the mountains, resonates far beyond snow and timber. It is a tale of second chances, of recognizing value where the world sees none, and of the transformative power of compassion. Ethan had purchased Clara for $1, a trivial sum in material terms, but he gained something far greater: the love that gives life meaning, the joy that fills the spaces loneliness once occupied, and the realization that acts of kindness, no matter how small, can ripple through the most barren landscapes to create beauty and connection. If you believe in kindness and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Wild West Tale, to discover more stories that touch the heart. In the weeks and months that followed, they continued to grow together. The snow melted into streams, the trails thawed, and the mountains bloomed with the slow return of spring. Ethan and Clara walked side by side, sharing laughter and silent understanding, each day a testament to their resilience and mutual care. The world outside the mountains might not have understood them, but they had found their universe in each other. Even the harshest days were softened by their presence, and even the longest nights were made bearable by the warmth of companionship. Ethan often reflected on that single dollar, a sum so small it seemed trivial, and yet it had been the key to everything. It was not the transaction itself that mattered, but the courage to act, the willingness to see value in someone else, and the humility to embrace life's unexpected gifts. Clara, in turn, learned that trust and openness could bring not just survival, but fulfillment. Together, they understood that love was rarely instantaneous, it was forged slowly, through shared struggles, silent moments, laughter, and tears. As the story of Ethan and Clara spread through whispers in the mountain villages, it became a quiet legend, a reminder that sometimes, love is found in the most unlikely places, and that even the humblest actions, performed with care and respect, can change lives forever. Their bond, tested by the unforgiving elements, proved unbreakable, and their story inspired others to seek compassion, understanding, and courage in their own lives. Before we end, if this story touched your heart, please comment below and share what part moved you the most, because your words could inspire someone else who needs hope today. In the end, Ethan and Clara's journey was a testament to the extraordinary in the ordinary, a celebration of the human capacity for love, kindness, and transformation. A single dollar had not purchased a life, it had revealed a lifetime of meaning, connection, and joy. And in that mountain cabin, with snow falling silently outside and the fire casting its warm glow, two souls who had once been strangers now understood the true value of a second chance. If this story moved your heart, please like, comment, and share to help others feel the power of hope, love, and human kindness. And don't forget to subscribe to Wild West Tale for more stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us of the beauty in every human connection.